Hello everyone, and welcome back to Redstone 101. I'm your host, Vaaldeth, and today we're going to continue with our intermediate lessons with Lesson 6, Basic Logic Gates. Logic gates, they are the foundation of advanced circuits, and now that we've spent time looking at the basics of how input and output works, circuits, moving signals around, and how the basic circuit blocks of Minecraft can be very useful for us, the next logical thing that will happen is you're going to want to start doing things based on the outcome of multiple signals. And that's where gates come into play. With making logical decisions based on the various inputs of different input signals. Yeah. Oh, what is this? Is this raining or something? Of course, it's gonna rain. It's never rained when I've done any recordings here, until now. Well, we'll just go with it. Okay, so we've already seen the most simple kinds of gates, and it is the NOT gate, also known as the inverter. We've seen this a few times. A is not equal to B. Whatever the input A is, B is not that. It is the opposite. So here we can already see we have the input. The switch here on the lamp showing its state is off. This is our inverter circuit, very simple signal going into the block. The torch not being powered is now powering the output. However, of course, if we turn this on, we know that powering a block a torch is attached to inverts the torch, turns it off, which turns off our output. There we have it, a simple NOT gate. Whatever A is, B is not that. The output is off when this is on. When this is off, that is on. It's the most simple gate, and we use them in conjunction as simple repeaters before the introduction of the actual repeater block. As I said, this is known as the inverter. The next most practical gate that you'll probably be using is the first one that takes two inputs. It is known as the AND gate. When both inputs A and B are on, when they both are on, C is also on. So here's output node C. You can see it's a pretty simple thing. 3 blocks, some torches here coming together into an output torch connected on this block. So when I turn one of them on, the output is still off, because this torch is still held on by this other redstone torch. It's only until I turn both of them on that both of these top torches are off, releasing power on this, allowing this torch to come on and turning on our output. Only when both A and B are on is C on. When one of them goes off, the output will go off. It doesn't matter which one, that one or this one. Okay, now there's also an opposite of an AND gate. If we were to take the same gate and put an inverter on the end of it, we would have a NOT AND gate, also known as a NAND gate. Only when the inputs A and B are on is the output C off. Otherwise, the output is on. Excuse me. So, as we saw before, this is exactly the same thing as the AND gate. We just removed the torch at the end, providing the inverting or NOT capability. Thus, when both of these are off, the output is on. And only when I turn them both on does the output go off. As soon as any one of these are off, the output is back. And boom, there it goes. Okay, so that can actually be pretty useful, depending on what you want to have happen, of course. It turns out that the NOT version is more useful in computers, computing and large arrays of logic, but most people will use the AND version for simple circuits around their homes in Minecraft. Next up is the OR gate. This also takes 2 or more inputs. And it's a pretty simple logic. When either input A or input B is on, the output C is on. So here we got two input nodes and our output node. Simply signals flowing into the same block are going out. So when either one is on, the output light will be on as well. That one's on, this one's on. If they're both on, it'll be on, it doesn't matter. But as long as one of them is on, that'll be on. Now, OR gates are susceptible to having signals flowing backwards, since they're generally so simple like this. You could have a signal coming onto the output which would come backwards through the flow and hit an input. And generally when we're thinking about circuits and signals, there's a steady flow of input to output. So to prevent this, we put a repeater here, ensuring that the flow of power only goes this direction, towards the repeater's output. A repeater will block a signal coming from the output, will not allow it to traverse backwards. When we use it in this way, it is called a diode. And we've seen this before, but here's where it starts becoming important. Especially as we're using multiple signals around, we want to make sure that one input signal does not contaminate another input signal. So really, this is actually not perfectly safe. If you wanted to be really safe about it, you would protect both input signals. Get some repeaters here, like the following. You'd actually do that to protect all of them. You wouldn't need that, to be honest. You could just have the output. Now that both inputs are isolated, is what it's called, from the output. If we did send a signal on here, they would be blocked by each of these diodes. We wouldn't need a further one going out. But in practice, generally just to keep things for sure, you know how things are flowing around. A lot of people will do that, but I don't generally think it's necessary. Unless you have power flowing around in other places, of course, around or above, that could, interfere with the signal going into these blocks. But we'll go ahead and leave it here just because that's how we started. But this is definitely safer. And that's what this is talking about. Now, just like the AND gate, the OR gate also has a direct opposite, the NOT OR gate, known as the NOR gate. When either input A or B is on, the output is off. Only when inputs A and B are off is the output on. So right here you can see that. We have both A and B off, so the output is on. If either one of them turns on, this will go off. There we go. Or if this one goes on, it also goes off. And if they're both on, it's still off. It doesn't matter. Either or. But when they're both off, it finally allows it to come on. Now likewise, we have an output diode here, a repeater limiting power flow, but just like before, it is actually safer to isolate both inputs like so. Now, of the basic logic gates, the AND and the OR, you'll use those for some combination of simple things. But the most useful, actually, early on, is the Xor gate. Pretty scary oftentimes because it's a little bit of a bigger circuit, but its behavior is actually much more useful. The output C is also a double input, A and a B. The output C is on only when one of the inputs is on, A or B, but not when both of them on. It's an exclusive OR gate is what it's called. So it's only when one of them are on. So we have our two A and B inputs. Here is the basic Xor circuit using just blocks and torches. It's a little bit more complicated. And here's the output C. Currently it's off. Now when only one of them is on, our output will go on as well. So turning this on, our output is on. If I turn on the second one, the output goes off. That's not good. We don't, that's good. It's what we want. That's how the circuit operates. Now if I were to turn off this one, our output is back on. Only when one of them is on. Only B is on, so it's on. Turn that off. As we expect, it's off. When this one comes on, it's on. But if both of them are on, the output is off. No matter what combination of flipping the levers. That is an Xor gate, an exclusive OR gate. Only one of them can be on. Now, while this is great for the basic demonstration, oftentimes you may not have this much space to do a circuit. You may need to pack it in with a lot of other things, may be limited for space. So we can use some of our compact redstone blocks that Minecraft has provided, specifically the Comparator Block, to make a very compact Xor gate. This is the most compact possible. Now, what you must understand is that first of all, you have to have the comparator set with the torches on. Normally when you place a comparator, the torches are off like that in this mode. We need to have them on for the mode that we're trying to use here, to put them in this behavior of an Xor gate. But here you go, you can see dust, dust behind it. Both of them are facing forward, a block behind our output block, right here, output C. So just like before, when only one of them is on, will the output be on. So that one's on. If I turn this one on, it goes off. But when this one's off, and only this input is on, also is it on. So it works great. Just like we want, any combination of flipping the levers. You can see these comparators remembering state between them, but the way they operate, you don't really have to worry about the details. They're doing the right thing for us to make the gate work as expected. The comparators must be right-clicked after they're placing, such that the torch is lit when no power is going into them, just like we see here. Just like this. Now, here's another example of that same Xor circuit using comparators, but with having the two input levers right next to each other. Maybe you want the two input blocks right next to each other versus having to be 2 blocks apart like this. This one is a little bit more expensive, it's a little longer, it uses 2 repeaters in addition, but the behavior goes off is the same. Now it's on. When only one of them is on, the output is on. And just like the rest of the common circuits, the most common use of the Xor circuit, Xor gate, is to control a single device from multiple points, say a light system. So think about it this way. Let's say you had one light switch, or this is an array of lights, say, connect this to a bunch of lights in your house, and they're all on, or they're all off. And you want to have multiple switches throughout the house to turn them on or off. So let's say I come in, this is the switch nearest my indoor, come on, turn them on, things are on, running around. Let's say I want to go out the back door and turn everything off. I can want to flip the switch and turn all the lights off, or come in and flip the switch, turn all the lights on, flips, turn all the lights off. I can independently control the light switch from either lever, no matter what the other lever is flipped to. You know, oftentimes if this is set on, then the output won't respond to this other switch. But using an Xor gate, it will. Okay, let's see. Now, just like all the other basic gates, the Xor gate has an opposite, a not Xor gate, known as the XNOR gate. And here is the kind of spelled out logic of it. When both inputs A and input B are in the same state, when they're both on or both off, the output C is on. Otherwise, when the inputs differ in state, the output is off. So as you can see right here, both inputs A and B are the same, they're both off, so our output is off. Looking at the circuit, it's basically the exact same as the Xor gate with another torch on the end. So it's a not Xor gate. But the behavior is different. You know, the opposite. So as soon as I turn any one of them on, the output light goes off. Let's go to reset time here. When they're both on, it's also on. But as soon as one of them is off, it's off. When they're both off, it's on. Or when they're both on, it's on. There we go, that's the Xor Gate. That can be kind of useful, I guess, but most people will use the Xor Gate for light switches, just because it's a little simpler. Now, just like I said, all the circuits, these opposites, are basically the same circuit with a NOT in front of it, just having another inverter stuck on the end there. Now, with all this moving of signals around, diode use is, if ever, as important, if not more so. Because we want to keep the direction flowing from input to output always. We don't want gates to have input signals polluting their output lines. Now, we've seen repeaters and comparators used as diodes before, but we can also use a torch repeater and the unique blocks slabs, glowstone, and stairs. So first up is the torch repeater, the redstone torch repeater. Before the repeater block was in play, this was the only way to actually extend redstone signals beyond their 15 block limit. But it also acts as a viable diode mechanism, as with the redstone torch attached to a block. This attached to a block here. Here we have a torch repeater set up, an input A, and an output B. Normally this would be like an actual output here. When I turn this on, it would be on, and this would be, you know, between, very far away, right? We would use this to extend the length. But we want to show that if we actually sent a signal inwards, coming in the wrong direction, that the torch blocks it, and we don't see our input line getting lit up. That's really, really good. It's not polluting our input signal. It's a diode. There we go, we talked about that. Now the same, well, not the same thing, glowstone, slabs, and stairs can also be used to create diodes because of one of their unique properties, in which they do not allow power on their top surface to transmit below to a block directly underneath. Now they allow power from their top to be transferred in another way, which we take advantage of, but this restriction allows them to be used to make diodes. So let's take a look at that. Here's a simple glowstone diode. I have an input here that is on, and the output is off. The power on top of the glowstone is not allowed to transfer down to the bottom, even though there's plenty of power here. I can do 15 blocks length, so you know, this is only 3. It should totally, it just totally stops it as a diode. Now here's some other examples. This is a regular block where we don't have that effect, where signals can go freely. But here we show a slab, a glowstone block, and a stair, each blocking the signal from going forward. They are diodes. So if this was our input signals on this side, and we were trying to send signals this way, they would not pollute and cause bad things to happen. Now this, like I mentioned before, this property of these blocks, or one of their other properties, is basically what allows them to transmit power vertically between each other. Since it's not transmitting power from this one to the ground, it's doing it to the block next to it below. We can create a pattern like this, where power is snaked up and transmitted vertically. We looked at this much earlier on in the episode, or in the series. So we go, it's off, on, off, on. We're moving signal up there. So, I hope this has been an informative lesson for you guys. These basic circuits should be helpful in tying together various devices in your homes that you've been making, sorting systems and switches and lights and doors, all kinds of good stuff. After this, we're going to be doing some more advanced lessons a little bit later on. Memory circuits, clock circuits, and maybe even some more advanced stuff after that. I think the only other thing we'll do is probably bud circuits. We've already covered, I think, pretty much by far all the basics, and for a good part you guys should be able to figure out what's going on in other people's work and debugging and troubleshooting your own works. Please leave me any questions, comments, concerns, queries, conundrums, you name it, in the section below. Give a like if you enjoyed this video and series, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.